Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be looking at what Jonny Smyth had to say about John George's last video and try to understand the flight situation regarding Johnny's mum Dawn, because it could include some editing in the pictures Dawn gave us. Also, we have messages from someone who Dan McMeekin is planning to move in with. So the first thing we are going to talk about is what Jonny had to say about John George's last video. So let's take a look at this video again.
Johnny boy, I'm in France. I'm in Spain with the Russian cartel, with the killings. What's the bleeding story here? I think I'll tell you about a couple things. What do you got, baby, her? Listen, for me ASAP, bye, yeah.
So in this video of John George, it does look like he's on edge, and I think this video is for Jonny Smyth, because at the start, he says Johnny's name, like he is talking to him. Also, at the end, I believe he is saying to Jonny that he needs to call him as quick as possible. Another thing John says is that he needs to have a chat with someone about a couple of things. So if this video was made for Jonny Smyth, he is saying that him and Jonny need to have a chat about a couple of things. Billy George, who is John's dad, says that John was on his way to fair dig Jonny. In other words, this means that he is on his way to fight Jonny Smyth. Also, we heard that John was allegedly murdered because he didn't want to get involved with, or work for, a criminal gang. So what I'm thinking is that John wasn't happy with a couple of things that Jonny got him involved with, and he even says in the video that he's with members from the Russian cartel. So maybe John was very annoyed about being in the position that he was in, and being around these members of the Russian cartel made him angry at Jonny and caused a big argument, and that's why he wanted to sort it out with Jonny. But instead of them having a fair fight, John was murdered. So let's see what Jonny had to say about this video. So Jonny says that he was sent this video and talks about not getting what looks like his Canada Goose body warmer back, and that he has never seen this house in his life and it looks like a squat. So first, Jonny is implying that John George was borrowing clothes off him. Then he says that he has never seen this house that is showed in the video. So maybe Jonny is playing dumb here because he says that he has never seen this house before, which could be true, but surely he knows why John George was there. He also says that it looks like a squat. So does he mean that the people who are in this house don't have permission to be there? Or is there a different meaning for what he's saying? How would he know it's a squat just from seeing this video, especially as he claims he has never seen this house before? Also, there is another message that shows someone asking Jonny about some guy, and Jonny says that it looks like Dan McMeekin. Apparently, Jonny had to get Dan an apartment because he wouldn't stop taking illegal substances. So Jonny was with Dan and had to get him an apartment. But why did he have to get him an apartment? He makes it sound like he had to do this for some reason. Could this mean that Dan and Jonny were doing some business together, and Dan was staying with Jonny, but because he wouldn't stop taking illegal substances, he got him a separate apartment? We have heard something similar to this before, but it involved John George. In Madison's Facebook post at the very beginning, she talks about John George leaving because her and Jonny wouldn't drink and take illegal substances with him. So that's Jonny and Madison who have said that two people have possibly stopped staying with them because these people wanted to take illegal substances. One of them being the victim, which is John George. Something doesn't add up with their stories, and we know that Madison has said that John was en route to Benidorm when actually he had been attacked and she knew about it. We know this because of Madison's phone call with one of John's family members. So this proves that she lied in her Facebook post about not knowing anything about John George's disappearance. The next thing we are going to look at is the flight situation with Dawn Smyth, because she claims that she booked her flight to Alicante on the 5th of November, but someone used her booking reference number and gained access to her flight dates. And it looks like Dawn had edited her flight dates, and actually she could have booked it after John George was murdered. So let's start off with the pictures that Dawn put in the Find John George Facebook group, because Dawn claims that she booked the flights on the 5th of November, and in this picture, it says that she paid for the flight over to Alicante on the 5th of November, which backs her story up. So there are a couple of things that people pointed out about this picture. First of all, the spelling mistakes. If you look at where it's meant to say check in online, it shows that in this email that was apparently sent to her, they missed out the E on the end of online and missed out the C on the word check. So does this happen a lot with EasyJet emails? Or was this just a random error that happened to her? It's a big coincidence if it's just Dawn who had spelling mistakes in her email. So let's take a look at the same email, but sent to a different person who decided to show what their email looked like. So in this picture that was posted by someone in the Facebook group who had the exact same email after booking their flight, you can see that there seems to be no spelling mistakes in this email. This is to show you an example of how it seems to be Dawn who has spelling mistakes in her email, but this person doesn't. One of John George's family members have claimed that Dawn made edits to this email to make it look like she booked the flights on the 5th of November. But it doesn't end there, because let me put up a picture of someone who apparently used Dawn's booking reference number to gain access to her flight details. As you can see, it says that Dawn traveled from Belfast to Alicante on the 15th of December and booked her flight back to Belfast for the 19th of December. This is very interesting, and I didn't know that you could access other people's flight details just by finding out their booking reference number. So if this information is correct, it means that Dawn could have booked her flight on the 14th of December, which was the day that John George was attacked. And not only did she lie about when she booked her flights to Spain, she also edited a picture to try and back herself up about booking the flights on the 5th of November. There is no reason for her to first of all lie, then edit a picture, if she hadn't done anything wrong. Also, if she went to Spain on the 15th and returned on the 19th, then what did she get up to while she was there? Because I personally think that it certainly doesn't look good, and maybe she helped Jonny cover up his tracks, as it does look very strange that she traveled out to Alicante one day after John George was murdered. So the last thing we are going to speak about is that someone who is associated with the John George family put a post up and showed us some messages, and it sounds like the messages are from Dan McMeekin's girlfriend, or maybe they could just be a friend of Dan's, as we don't have much information on this person. But the post says that this girl was apparently threatening Haley Comet and saying that she better play nice with Dan, or she will leak Haley's address, and implies that something will happen to her. You can see that this person who tags Billy George in the post says that someone has been threatening Haley Comet because Haley has been talking about Dan McMeekin and says that they will keep mentioning Dan until they get justice for what happened to John George. This person also puts out some messages where she confronts this girl for threatening Haley and says that no one will be silenced and they will keep mentioning Dan's name. I have to admit, the way the George family have handled this situation is very good in my opinion, and I believe the only way to get answers is to push for them. We have seen how the Spanish police have handled certain missing person cases, and if John George's family didn't go out looking for him and didn't apply any pressure on the situation, then they probably wouldn't have got the answers they deserve. This girl didn't have much to say for herself when she was confronted and basically admitted that Dan should have said something sooner and he was in the wrong, And at the end, she says, "Sorry for your loss." This shows that you can't back down in situations like this. And no matter what John George was involved in, his family are suffering the consequences, and whoever did this to them needs to be punished. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will update you as we find out more.